Hi, Jack. Thanks a lot for doing this. Hope you and your family are doing well. I know you were a point per game player last year, obviously an all-star. This season, though, it seemed like your game took that next step. In your opinion, now that you're able to look back on the season in its entirety, what do you think allowed you to take that next step in your game?
I think our team got better. I had the opportunity to play with two, line mates for the majority of the season. I thought we built pretty good chemistry. Unfortunately, we know that Victor got hurt for a bit of it, but, even through that stretch, I felt like whoever, was paired with Rhino and I did a tremendous job. And, I just think the consistency and, being a year older, a little more mature, I think it allowed me to, take my game to another level. I learned things, every season that I try and take with me in the off season and better myself going into the next year.
Hey, Jack, John Worrell with the AP. Thanks for doing this. Just wondering, what did you see from yourself? There are a lot of players, a lot of your teammates yesterday that talked about seeing you take the next step in a leadership role, both on and off the ice. How did you feel you found that sweet spot in being a leader, in being able to put this team on your back and just, taking that next step as a leader on this team?
I think that, first and foremost, the person I got to give the most credit to is our head coach, Ralph. I think just being around him every day, the way that he handles himself, being able to learn from him, being able to build a relationship and go to him for things and advice. And I think it's been so big for me. He's, one of the greatest natural born leaders that I've ever been around on a day-to-day basis, the way that he, looks at life, never mind hockey. So it's been a pleasure working with him. And, I couldn't be happier to, have him as a coach. In terms of me, there's a lot of good leaders in the room that I go to for advice on, just about everything. And, just try and bounce things off them. Personally, I just try to be myself. I try and work as hard as I can every day, and I try and compete during practice. I try and compete as hard as I can during the games, and hopefully that becomes contagious.
Hi, Jack. Mike Harrington here. Thanks for doing the call today. It strikes me that you guys probably as a group played more high-level games this year than any point in your career. You beat Edmonton twice, St. Louis, Vegas, Washington. The 0-7 against Boston and Tampa really stands out, and a lot of those games were tight. And the one that really jumped out at me was the game at Colorado, the start of the road trip. Maybe the highest level game you guys have played in your whole career, just in terms of feeling like a late playoff game. What's your takeaway from the way the team played against elite teams this year, and what's the lesson in the Colorado game in terms of how this team can raise its level of play going forward in future years?
I think if you look around the league and you see some of these veteran teams, that win games, a lot of those tight games that we're playing against them, we unfortunately end up on the wrong side of it a lot of times. And it goes back to experience and being able to be comfortable in that situation, whether it's up a goal late in the game, tied, down a goal, whatever it might be. Those tight checking games that doesn't seem like there's a whole lot going on. The better teams in the league just kind of stick with their game and allow the other team to make a mistake. And, I feel like we've been trying to get better at that. And, that's what separates the best teams in the league from from the middle of the pack and the bottom of the pack. It's it's that ability to be good on the nights when you might not have it, and we have a young group. We need to start learning that soon and figuring out how to do that. It's it's one thing to be in the tight games. It's another thing to win them.
Hi, Jack. It's Bill Hoppy. Hope you're well. Victor stepped in this year and made an immediate impact. Beyond his sheer talent, what else helped him acclimate to the NHL so quickly, in your opinion?
I think his work ethic and his dedication to hockey is probably the thing that jumps out at me most. Obviously, he wants to be a good hockey player. He cares about his game. He takes care of himself. He's constantly working on his shot. He definitely holds himself accountable. I think when you put all those things together, you're bound to have success. And, obviously, at times this year our power play was good. At times it was bad. But, him being so lethal over there, and I think with the combination of the rest of the power play, we were good at times. And, special teams are a big part of the game. But, Victor's somebody who he has great hands. He obviously has a tremendous shot, but his hockey IQ is very good, and he understands the game, and I think that's what allows him to play really at any level.
Hey, Jack, John Vogel here. Hope all is well. Yesterday, Jake McCabe mentioned that he had watched The Last Dance, and he couldn't help but think of you as he watched it. I mean, that's a big compliment. And first of all, did you watch it, and what did you take away from it, if you did?
I did watch it. Obviously, the compliments are, extremely humbling, and especially get it from your teammates. It means a lot to me. And, I had heard a few guys had made comments yesterday about that, and it means a lot to me. Obviously, you got to take a lot of pride in trying to be a good leader on the team, and sometimes you got to be hard on people. But I think takeaways from The Last Dance, you see how much Jordan cared about being the best, how much he cared about winning, and it seemed like nothing else mattered, and he didn't let anything else get in his way. And no matter what it was, it seemed like he says it multiple times, through the documentary, it was win at all costs, no matter what it took. And, he's just probably arguably one of the greatest competitors, one of the greatest winners, if not the greatest winner of all time. There's probably a few up there with him, Bill Russell, Tiger Woods. I mean, there's a few up there with him, but, you think about, the way that he handled himself on and off the basketball court. I mean, obviously, people like to look at his, his gambling and some of his off court things, but he was also the hardest worker off the court. And one of the things that stands out to me is when they lost to the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals, and we had the whole team working, the week later, and his just commitment to winning and his commitment to being the best. It's incredible. I mean, you can't say enough about his competitive nature. I love the documentary. Thought it was awesome. Unfortunately, I was pretty young when he was doing all the magical things that he was doing, so I didn't get to enjoy it. But my dad's a huge Michael Jordan fan, and he's passed it on to me, so it's pretty cool getting to watch the documentary.
Hey, Jack, Matt Bove here, kind of building off of John's question. Yesterday, when we talked to those players, they kind of unprompted brought up how you grew as a leader. And I know you just kind of credited Ralph and being around him and how that helped you. But as a person, how do you feel like you grew this year?
I mean, I think you got to understand your teammates, their personalities, who you can push, who you can get on, who you can't, who you need to kind of bring along. And, it takes a lot to do that. And, I just try and, I think I try and do what needs to be done. And, I'm the farthest thing from a, finished product as a leader or player, but, you just try and use your experiences to better you. And, that's what I try and do.
Hey, Jack, Brayton Wilson here from WGR Sports Radio 550. Thanks for taking the time to do this, and hope all is well with you and your family. I know that during the year last year that you had been kind of laboring with some sort of injury, but just wanted to check in to see how you're feeling now that you've had some time to kind of recuperate, and going forward? How are you dealing with your health situation heading into this extended time off due to the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously dealt with some things last year, and unfortunately with the way that the season was was going, didn't really feel like you could take the time off in the situation that that we were in, and just trying to win every game. We were trying to be as competitive as we can, and I feel like my job is to be on the ice, and so I mean the extended time off is frustrating. We're not going to play hockey for a while, and it's a good opportunity to try and get as healthy as possible, and really try and dig in and improve your game as much as you can. In terms of the injury, with the way that the quarantine's been going, and the inability to seek treatment or whatever it might be, obviously still some lingering things that need to be taken care of, but we have a lot of time at this point, so hopefully they'll be taken care of soon.
Hey, Jack, Joe Yurden here. Was curious on your thoughts on, the steps you guys made as a team. You played a lot better, but what more do you want to see? What do you want to see improve for next season when that comes around?
Just winning. Yeah, I mean, I thought we made a lot of steps. Yeah, but we're not where we want to be right now. So obviously didn't make the appropriate steps. That's what the frustrating part is, and that's what you have to swallow. You don't do enough during the season. You don't get to move on, and I thought our consistency of play got better, but it's still not where it needs to be. And maybe game to game, I think was one of the places that improved. I thought we've gotten better at finding ways to give ourselves a chance when we're not at our best. But unfortunately, our group, we had a lot of lapses, whether it be for 10 minutes in the game or a period and a half, whatever it might be. And it seemed like, in those lapses, we would kind of hand the game away. So it would come back and haunt us. The elite teams in the league don't do that. So it needs to be found, you need to find a way to clean that up. And, you're not going to play, 60 minutes for 82 games exactly how you want throughout the whole season. But, limiting the amount of errors that you make, and, the amount of errors that are costly and end up in the back of your net are the big things that really need to, I think need to improve for our group.
Hey, Jack, Adam Benini, WGRZ TV. Again, thanks for your time. Talking with Jason yesterday, he talked about the need for some of the younger players in the organization to develop to help the team reach an upper echelon level. He also talked about the need for the front office to give you guys more depth in terms of looking to add veterans, whether that be via trade or free agency. As the guy who leads this team on the ice, what's your reaction to that, and what do you think this lineup needs to reach that next level?
That's his job, obviously, to to build the lineup. So my job is to perform and help lead the team on the ice. So I guess I'll leave the what do we need at that. It's we just need to get better. I think that's the big thing. These teams are, especially in a division, you look down in our division, these teams are deep. There's a lot of really hard matchups, and so I think just adding depth and, veterans and some toughness would help.
Hey, Jack, John Scott from Spectrum News. Obviously, I know you don't like having this conversation with us after missing the playoffs. It's something we've done your entire time here. I'm curious, how does your feelings about the future compare after this season as opposed to others in the past where the results of the season was the same?
Listen, I'm fed up with the losing, and I'm fed up and I'm frustrated, and it's definitely not an easy pill to swallow right now. It's been a tough couple months. It's been a tough 5 years with where things have went. So I'm a competitor. I want to win every time I go on the ice. I want to win the Stanley Cup every time I start a season. I've already started preparing for next season now. I'm already back on the ice. I'm already training. I'm already doing things to try and better myself for the start of next season, whenever that is. And I'd be lying if I said that I'm not I'm not getting frustrated with where things are going. And I think we took a step this year, but I will say it's been a pleasure working with Ralph, and he does so much for our group every day. And there are tough times, and he does an amazing job of bringing us back in and narrowing our focus, getting us back to where we need to be mentally. And just a few times that I've spoke with him throughout this whole quarantine, whatever you want to call it, it's been it's been good. So I'm definitely not in the greatest place with where the last little bits went, and it's definitely worn on me.
Hey Jack, Heather Prusak here from the CBS station here in Buffalo. First of all, hope you're doing well. You and your family are staying safe and healthy. Kind of piggybacking off of that, you mentioned earlier the lapses that you guys have in games, and it would come back to haunt you sometimes. What needs to be done so that those lapses don't happen? Also, guys talk a lot about learning. This team needs to learn how to win those types of games. We've kind of heard that a lot the past couple of years. What is it going to take to, finally learn how to do that and eliminate those lapses where it doesn't completely collapse the season?
Yeah, I'm talking about 8-minute lapses within a game. I don't think any singular game or singular 8 minutes or 10 minutes or period is going to collapse an entire season. So in that sense, I think that there's going to be times during a year when you don't have a good 10 minutes, or you don't have a good period, or you don't have a good game, or maybe you have a bad week, but you really can't let that sort of thing spiral out of control. And, for us, the difference here was, that segment of, whatever that West Coast trip was between Colorado, Arizona, Vegas, and then going to Winnipeg. That was kind of the big, that was the big one for us, where, we couldn't find a way to win a game. And, even, coming back from that, going to Philly, it was a close game for a while. We played well, and it seems like we still found a way to lose. If we win, say half those games, we're in the 2014 playoff, and we're not having this conversation now. So I thought we made a lot of steps as a team this year to take a jump. We still have a lot of young players who, don't have, the same experience, in terms of games played in this league that a lot of these teams that we're playing do. And, I think there's a lot to be said for experience. And unfortunately, we haven't had the playoff experience, for the majority of the team. There's a few guys in our group that have, and, they understand what it takes. And, I think they added a lot to our team this year, whether it be, JoJo or Simmer, or, Oaks has had some playoff experience, Colin Miller. We have guys in our team that have played, in the playoffs, and, have had big roles on really good teams. And so they're a great resource in the locker room for us, and in these tight games, it's a matter of course of action and being able to execute a plan.
Jack, Mike Harrington again. It was pretty clear, unless you guys went on a huge streak in March, that you probably weren't going to get there the way the standings were at the time. but obviously everything changes in the world. I mean, the frustration level is clear from you. Where is it, though, knowing that it was one win on that trip or New Year's Eve, or even if you had played that last night in Montreal, it was one win and you guys would still be playing, and a lot of these conversations would be different. Does that just add to the frustration and the fuel that might carry you guys this whole long off-season break?
Yeah, I mean, you look at what you look at the season, and after every season, there's probably a handful of games, but you say to yourself, probably should have won them, probably should have gotten a point, probably should have gotten 2 points, whatever it might be. And in a situation like this where, like you said, a lot of these teams that are going to continue to play, they felt like they were completely out of it, and now they have an opportunity to play more games, and they're gaining valuable experience as a group, and we're not one of them. So it does add to the frustration. Yeah, it does. It adds to the frustration a lot.
Jack, it's John Worrell once again, and piggybacking on all that, you said you're fed up with losing, and I can only imagine, given your competitive nature, how do you channel that into a positive, and how do you get that message across to the room, maybe even stepping on toes, and so how do you channel that into a positive going into next year?
I think it's just about the work. Obviously, you got to get better. You got to improve yourself. You got to improve your team. So we got a lot of time here as a group, and hopefully guys are taking this opportunity to try and improve themselves and better their game, and that's what I'm going to do.
Hey, Jack, it's Mike Trachos calling from Post Media. Just further to the 2014 playoff, what did you make of it? And is there part of you that, while you wanted to be in, also wanted to be in just on your own merits under a typical 16-team playoff to show, the rest of the hockey world that you guys actually deserve to be there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think with the situation that our league's in right now, it's unfortunately missed some regular season games of the league, and at the end of the day, this is a business, right? And it's a business right now. It's not really making any money because we're not playing. So in terms of the change from a 16-team playoff to a 2014 playoff, I think it makes sense, business wise. It's better for our TV and markets, and so it makes sense from that sense. We want as much hockey being shown as we can, and I think the more hockey, the better. Do I think that a lot of the teams that got in, deserve the opportunity? No, but I think in a time like this, like I said, business-wise, it's probably a good decision. It adds to the frustration that, you can't get into a 2014 playoff even. Yeah, I mean, that's our goal at the beginning of the season last year wasn't to, make a 2014 playoff. It was to make a 16-team playoff. So, I think every team, it's a little bit bittersweet for the teams that, weren't going to get in and got in. And, for the teams, like ourselves who, set out with a goal in mind at the beginning of the year and tried to work towards that, and then you don't reach it, it's always frustrating.
Jack, Mike Zeisberger from NHL.com. Thanks for doing this. You mentioned the frustration, and obviously that goes hand in hand with how competitive you are. But how difficult is it when you see guys that you played with the U.S. development program, whether it be Austin, anybody like that, or somebody in your draft year, Connor McDavid, or you have so many friends even from college that are in the league that you came up with that have tasted NHL playoffs, and despite you having some good personal stuff, you've never been able to taste that before. How difficult is that?
Yeah, it's real difficult. It's you know, like I said, I'm a competitive guy. I want to win everything I do. So, been 5 years here and I haven't played in the playoffs, so it's difficult, it's tough.
Jack, it's Lance Lysowski from the Buffalo News again. Dahlin spoke to us yesterday and just said that he dealt with a great deal of pressure at the beginning of this season and took a little bit of time to sort of learn how to navigate that. What did you notice about just his game? And I mean, you're very familiar with the pressure that's placed on a player, especially being such a high draft pick. So what are your thoughts on the way he handled that?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's not easy. Listen, you know, he's the first overall draft pick. The comparisons that have been made for him, and we go at the beginning of the year, we play in Sweden in his hometown. I mean, it's a lot to handle, and I think sometimes we forget that he's 19 years old. So Rasmus is, you know, he's one of the best, you know, kids I've ever been around. He loves hockey. He wants to get better. He's trying to get better every day. He works at his game, and so he's a pleasure to be around every day. And you know, I understand why pressure would weigh on him. I mean, you look at our situation; we haven't been successful in a while, and you know, a lot of the success and failure with our group, you know, falls on his shoulders. Along with a few other guys, it seems like, and you know, he's deemed to get drafted and help his team take the step and make the playoffs. And you know, you see how competitive he is. He wants to be there. He wants to be doing it, and so I could see where he feels like the pressure's on him, and but I think he does a great job of handling it. You know, he never lets us know that he's he's not in a good position or he's battling it, and sometimes you wish he kind of would, so you could help him out a little bit more, but he keeps himself and works really hard, and I think just every year he's going to continue to get better.
All right. Thank you everybody for the questions, and thank you, Jack, for your time today.
Oh, hold on. I just wanted to obviously, thank all you guys for the interactions throughout the year. I appreciate all your respect and, just the relationships that we formed and everything throughout the entire season. I wish you and all your families nothing but all the, the utmost health, and obviously with, what's going on in the world right now, Western New York, people all over, anyone who's, listening, hope you're doing well, hope you're healthy, hope your loved ones are healthy, and, together we'll get through this. So, hopefully you're all doing well, and, talk soon.
Thanks, Jack. You too.
Yep.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Take care, guys. All the best.
Yep.
Thanks, Jack.
You too.
You too.